We're sometimes told that Russia, China, Iran, and South Korea are the axis of upheaval, and certainly they can all be very pally. But the last few months have shown us China has no appetite for wasting its soldiers on Russia's ill thought out plans. It's shown us that North Korea doesn't care about losing its soldiers and will happily send them on suicide missions for Russia if it gets them a little bit of credence and some column inches in the newspapers. The Ayatollahs, they've been stirring the pot as the world's greatest sponsor of terrorism for 5 decades. But are they all on the same page? There's the old adage, my enemy's enemy is my friend. And it plays out fairly well here. But North Korea is surviving by virtue of being a crazy family run insane asylum where it's in China and Russia's interest that that doesn't change. They don't want a unified Korea and they don't want instability. They want an instability that they can understand, that they can model for, and that's it. It's also quite convenient to have weak countries on your borders. They don't cause you any trouble. The Chinese and the Russians, they've been very pally. Was it a friendship that has no limit and end? But Russia has vast swathes of land which really, in any fair interpretation of history, belong to China. And the Chinese, if anything, understand their history. Certainly their history where they've been badly dumped to by other countries. And Russia exploited them in their weakest hour and stole vast quantities of land. The Chinese are very aware of this, and I believe see the Ukraine war as an opportunity to, on the one side, be helpful to the Russians where it doesn't really cost them anything, help stir up the world order a little bit, because China is wanting to be a world superpower. Russia, well, they want to pretend to be a world superpower. Their history has long been a very specific interpretation of what happened. I mean, ask a Russian when World War II started, and they'll tell you it was when they were invaded by the Russians. They probably don't even know about their involvement in invading Eastern Europe and the massacres that they undertook of civilians and soldiers, because that's not really the sort of history they want. It's far easier to say they fought against the Nazis. It's much more difficult to say they were allies of the Nazis and empowered the Nazis in the development of their war machine and helped them with invasion. The Ayatollahs, well, they want to stir the pot in the craziest way they can. They want to create a ethnically and religiously pure Middle East, and that sets them on the warpath against Muslims as much as it does against Jews. But certainly they want to play at having a nuclear weapon. Do they actually want a nuclear weapon? Maybe. They can't be stupid enough to think that the West or Israel or any sane country actually wants them to have nukes. They've not shown the restraint that countries with nuclear powers tend to have. I mean, India and Israel are both nuclear powers. They've both had many skirmishes with each other. It's not very often that they choose to use actual heavy ordnance against each other. And when they do, they never really brag about how they're going to nuke the other off the face of the earth. China got a huge number of nuclear weapons. But The Chinese are not stupid. They're not going to use them. These are weapons of protection for yourself. It's a shield, not a sword. But is that how the Ayatollah sees things? Well, this supposed axis of disruption has been tested recently. Did the Russians help Iran? No. Did the North Koreans help Iran? No. Did China help Iran? That one's a little harder. There's a lot of flights into Tehran where the transponders were switched off. So it's quite difficult to know what actually went in there. But there's nothing to suggest that they helped. So with the backs to the wall and the bombs falling, no one really helped Iran. You could say that they're just a convenient proxy, a spoon to stir the pot, but really, it seems like an axis of convenience that will only go so far. And maybe that's a good thing.